At OPTAVIA, our mission is to offer the world lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. The following audio contains the personal testimonials of independent coaches and clients within the OPTAVIA community. Their results are based on the unique experiences of their journey. We cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. We hope these stories inspire you to continue your journey with or join OPTAVIA, but please note they have not been verified and your individual journey to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you speak with a healthcare provider in the U.S. or a doctor in Singapore and Hong Kong prior to beginning your journey with OPTAVIA. Additionally, this audio may contain income or earning representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. We cannot guarantee financial success. Success with OPTAVIA is derived from successful sales efforts, which require hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. OPTAVIA acknowledges that this audio may be accessible to OPTAVIA coaches in the U.S., Hong Kong, and Singapore. For independent OPTAVIA coaches operating in the U.S., please see the OPTAVIA Income Disclosure Statement for statistics on actual earnings of U.S. coaches under the U.S. Compensation Plan. Please note that the Income Disclosure Statement only applies to independent OPTAVIA coaches operating in the U.S. under the U.S. Compensation Plan and does not in any way constitute any representations as to actual or potential accrual of benefits for Hong Kong or Singapore coaches under the International Compensation Plan. Yours in Health, the OPTAVIA team.
Welcome to our inspiring stories of transformation. My name is Donni Alvarenga, and I am honored to be your host today. I joined this community a long time ago, many years ago, because I had just had twins and I found myself 50 pounds overweight. And I joined the community because I wanted a simple way that a busy mama could lose the weight. And I found just that. But what I found beyond the losing of the weight was a permission. I found permission to ask this question. Wouldn't it be cool if? I started with asking, wouldn't it be cool if I could live out my childhood dream of being a stay-at-home mom? And I'm here to tell you today that I am a stay-at-home mom. It also gave me the creativity to ask questions that scared me. Wouldn't it be cool if my kids got to have both mom and dad home? And I'm going to tell you what, this time of year, a lot of times people start thinking about what it is that they want for the new year. You might be watching this live today in December 2020, or you might be watching this any time of the year. There's something about a new year that opens up a whole new world of possibilities, right? But what I want to tell you is that every single day is a new world of possibilities. It all starts with the spark of a thought. I had this spark of a thought, which was, wouldn't it be cool if my kids had both parents home? And that's exactly what they have today. So I joined this community looking to lose some weight. And what I found is that it was about so much more. It was about offering the trilogy of optimal health, which we believe is a sweet spot between a healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy finances. I found the healthy body when I lost my weight. I found the healthy mind when I discovered that I could be the dominant force in my life and that I could plan my life around the things that mattered most to me. And I could do that because I was able to build a business that created the finances that could meet my family's needs. I'm so excited to introduce you to Greg Rex. Greg is a master at visualizing and building lives, and I can't wait for you to hear his story of transformation and how it is that he's built this life.
Thanks, Donni. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I want to go back in time. If you were on the previous call, you heard that I had worked with Tony Robbins when I was younger, and I'm on the beach in 1992, and I met the author of this book. His name is Paul Pilzer. And he wrote the book, The New Wellness Revolution. And in this book, he predicted that there would be this giant shift of business towards wellness and well-being. He predicted it would be the next $1 trillion industry. And it was because we needed something to offset the sick care industry of what we call healthcare. For 10 years, I was looking for that business, and I couldn't find one that fit my needs, my values. I was looking for a wellness company, couldn't find it. And in those 10 years, I got into my corporate world and I started working for a big corporation, and some big stuff happened, similar to what's going on right now in the world. So this is now 2001, and 9/11 just happened. And in that picture on the left, you can see that I had gained quite a bit of weight. I put my health on the back burner. My healthy body on a score of 1 to 10 was probably a 4. I was obese. I was aches and pains. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. My healthy mind, I was burnt out. I did not want to go back to the corporate grind. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to work from home. I wanted to have a business where I could have lifestyle and I could have my friends and family and surf and snowboard and do the things I love to do. And healthy finances, I was down and out. I just lost my job, got laid off, and I was $100,000 in debt. So my score for healthy, I was looking for a vehicle. And wouldn't you know it, sometimes when you get laid off, some things that happens, like you see it as a curse in the moment. Looking back a few years later, it's a blessing. And so what happened was I got, because of that book, one of my friends said, Greg, I know you're a big Paul Pilzer fan. I have a friend of mine who just read his book. He lost 30 pounds and I want you to meet him. And this guy introduced me to Dr. Anderson. And Dr. Anderson, when I heard his vision and I heard what he wanted to do, I was like, this is it. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So I became a client on the program to get healthy and a coach at the same time. Remember, this is almost 19 years ago. I started on this journey, and I got to say, that was the best decision of my life. I'm so grateful. And I want to tell you a little bit about this company I'm so proud of. We have an amazing business model. The credibility of our company is bar none. We have the leadership, we have the offer that people need. And look at these stats. These stats really show you how important what we do at OPTAVIA is. Right now, worldwide, overweight and obesity is tripled since 1975. And most countries these days don't have people dying from malnutrition or starvation. They're dying from obesity at higher rates. Here in the United States, we have got 1/3 of people who are in a relationship say that finances is one of their biggest sources of frustration. 69% of workers are stressed out over their finances, and 72% are thinking about it at work. They're so stressed out that they bring their stress about finances to their job. You can see how it affects everything. So the other one that's really kind of eye-opening because of the world pandemic and what's going on is in July of 2020, the rates of depression and anxiety were triple that of only a year before in 2019. So does the world need well-being? Does the world need healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances? More than ever. And guess what? OPTAVIA, we are the solution. We are what the world needs right now. So this company we're really proud of. Number one is we have been around for almost 40 years. Medifast is our parent company, and they have a high reputation of being one of the best in the industry of creating healthy nutrition specifically for health and weight management. We have helped over 1 million people impact and change their lives. We have a track record that's second to none. We have been listed on Forbes and Fortune magazine many times for the fastest growing companies. This year, just a few months ago, we were named the second fastest growing company in Fortune 100 list. And we were one of the only companies that are in the well-being space. So do we have something? Do we offer predictable transformation? Do we give people exactly what we need? And do we have the right leadership? Dr. Anderson, who's our medical director, he wrote not only The Habits of Health, but he's in the field with us, doing the work and constantly keeping us on the cutting edge of what it takes. So what I'm just going to say, Donnie, is I'm super excited is after looking for 10 years, I found the vehicle that I needed. I jumped on that bike and I started pedaling. And I had this group of people around me, Dr. A, he's my coach, and all the people on this call cheering me on. And I've had so much fun transforming my lives. But at the same time, my organization and coaches, we've helped well over 150,000 people impact their lives and start their journey towards Trilogy of Optimal Health. So I'm just really proud to be here. And if you guys are new, I'll just say one thing. Your timing couldn't be any better. Your timing could not be any better to finding this vehicle, because if you have a vision, we've got the bike that you can jump on and make it happen.
I love that. I love that. We are about creating lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. And we talked about, the healthy body, the healthy mind, and the healthy finances. And we're going to start with the healthy body piece. We believe that health does not come in a pill or a potion or a prescription. We believe that it comes in our daily choices. And so and those choices, they're so much easier said than done, right? It's so much easier for me to tell you what to do than it is for me to do it myself. However, what we do is we offer people tools. A tool is an instrument that makes a job easier. Let's think about the job of putting a nail in the wall. Okay. You can do it using a shoe, or you can do it using a rock or a pen. It's just going to take you that much longer. Okay. And what we offer are tools that make the process so much more simple and efficient. So the first tool we offer is the one-on-one accountability of a coach. I like to think of that as the power of saving face, not because our coaches are beating our clients over the head, but because our coaches are holding us accountable. I know that for myself, I love it. When I knew my coach was going to call me, I felt like I needed to give her a good report. And the truth is there were days that I didn't feel like I lived up to what I said I was going to do. And my coach was there to take the bat out of my hand so that I stopped beating myself up. That was such a powerful tool. The second tool is the Habits of Health System. And that's a book and a workbook that were written by Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, that Greg just talked about, where it helps us rewire the way we think. And it affects all of our habits of health, from sleep to stress management to water. The third tool is the sense of community. I like to think of community as vitamin C. Okay. Because when it comes to making changes to our health, there are a couple of diseases that threaten our success there. And the diseases are called complacency and discouragement. Okay. And community is the vitamin C that boosts our immunity against those diseases. Now, the fourth tool is a very simple meal plan that makes it possible so that you get all of the nutrition that you need in a way that doesn't require counting carbs and calories and points and all of this. It keeps it simple and it helps you create predictable results. So some of the members of our community join us through the healthy body arena. You heard from Greg that he was looking for a vehicle. He was looking for a business. And by the way, he could use some help in his healthy body. Well, Molly joined us for the healthy body piece, and it woke up a whole new world of possibilities for her. I can't wait for you to hear her story. Welcome, Molly.
Hi, Donni. Thank you so much for letting me share tonight. I'm so excited to share with you guys a little bit of my story. My health journey started about 2 years ago. And what had happened was that I had a little baby, and she was about 6 months old. And I just recognized, wow, I have some habits that are not benefiting me. And there's this light bulb moment that comes on when you realize your child is going to be starting to watch you, and they're going to be seeing your habits. And so I was just awakened to the fact that something had to change. And so I reached out to my coach, and she shared this gift with me, this gift of health. And I was so excited because I thought, gosh, this might be something that actually works. And about a month later, she shared the gift of coaching with me. And I was a business major. I had worked in the business world for about 5 years before. And I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I should just coach and share this with others. I was down, 15 pounds at that point. And so I said yes. And I'm so grateful for that yes, because shortly after that, I was on a mentorship call with my mentorship team, and they asked me, what do you want, Molly? And gosh, you guys, that was like a question that I don't think anyone had ever asked me, really. And they asked me, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And I feel like they kind of even had to pull those dreams out of me. But I said something. I said, I think I'd like to pay for my husband to go to seminary. And it was interesting because I attached this dream that I had to a dream that my husband had. And his dream was to go to seminary and to, do what the Lord had asked him to do. So anyway, fast forward to about 8 months ago, my husband said, hey, I think it's time I go to seminary. And we got to review our finances and see that it was totally possible because of the vehicle of OPTAVIA. And there's this picture of me and my mentorship team, and I'm crying. I wish I would have had that up there. You guys should see me crying because I realized that my dream of being able to pay for my husband to go to seminary was coming to fruition. And actually that picture of me and my daughter and my husband is us on our front porch. We actually moved across the country in August so that my husband could go to seminary full time and be on campus. And so I was just so grateful for this gift that has allowed me to dream and has provided for our family. So not only, losing 50 pounds, but then getting to watch others transform. And so I'm just so grateful, for the gift of OPTAVIA.
I love that OPTAVIA offers us that vehicle, right? It requires work. Did it take any work, Molly?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely takes some work, but if you put the work in and you know where you're going, it definitely offers us a vehicle to get where we want to go. And so, what are some of the benefits and what are some of the reasons why people choose to coach with OPTAVIA? Well, this is the thing, is it reinforces your decision to be healthy. I was put on my first diet when I was 8 years old. I have been contending with my health for my whole life. And it's not until I joined this community that I started feeling hopeful that this doesn't have to be a lifelong battle. And because I am part of this community, I keep contending. I don't give up. And that is a health benefit to me, right? Now, it fills our soul. I cannot tell you how. I actually am part of Molly's mentorship team. And when I hear stories like Molly's, I get goosebumps every single time. We get paid, we get more than adequate compensation financially, but the compensation and feel good is surreal. Okay. It is fun. It's rewarding, and it offers you the opportunity to leave a legacy, to feel like you're doing something of meaning and of purpose. Our business model involves three progressive levels. Okay. Basically, you can start out as an OPTAVIA coach, and that's where you're going to be helping people, your starting clients, and helping them with their healthy body piece. As we move into the business coaching, that's where we're helping others pay it forward. And that's where we can help people a lot in terms of the healthy mind and the healthy finances piece. Business leaders build teams of business coaches, and they coach clients as well. So how does it work for coaches? Basically, our business model is based on the idea of building relationships. It's based on the idea of helping people get what they want. It's not about convincing people they need something. It's about finding out what they need and helping them with that thing. It gives you the opportunity to promote yourself to your own boss, right? You get to be self-employed and independent. And yet, even though you get to be in business for yourself, you are never by yourself. There is an incredible amount of training and support so that you have mentorship and guidance, and people link arms with you to fight and to contend with you for that thing that you want. It gives you the opportunity to work in flexible hours. There's absolutely no inventory to keep. There's no quotas and no monthly purchases are required. There's a very, very low startup cost. It's $199 to get started, and very low operating costs. And so really it offers incredible flexibility and independence while offering incredible support and guidance. I can't wait for you guys to hear Jessica's story, because Jessica is one that has run businesses on her own. And I can't wait for you to share with her the difference that she has experienced in trying to run a business on her own and running the business the OPTAVIA way. Welcome, Jessica.
Hey, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You know, the people in my world call me the unicorn queen because I do things a little backwards. I probably win the award for the most expensive and the most difficult attempt at a business startup before this model. Before OPTAVIA, I had a dream. I was looking for a way to retire from my nursing career, to care for people in a way that created massive impact in their lives, and to be home full time with my babies. That was the dream that had me in search of a vehicle that would set me free to do that. So I invested 3 years of my life and $30,000 into learning about business. I learned about marketing funnels. I learned about hiring and firing. I learned about management and managing teams and QuickBooks, and oh my gosh, like so much information that my brain leaked out of my ears almost weekly as I was learning this information. And as I was putting the information together and creating my own coaching system that I thought was going to set me free, what I had after 3 years was a really expensive hobby. I feel like after that experience, I was given a box of car parts and a tattered manual, and I was told, good luck, go build your business, right? And after that experience, knowing that I had an expensive hobby, I was almost ready to throw in the towel. And I'm so glad that I met my coach and that I was introduced to this model, because what it has been is it's been tossing the box of car parts in the dump and being given the keys to a brand new Ferrari and told to go push on the gas. So 3 years of a very expensive business model, and I had a hobby. And after 8 months of using this model, I was able to replace my nursing income and set myself free. And how exciting is it that I now get to live a life where I serve people in a way that makes meaningful impact in their lives. And I get to be my dream come true. I get to be the mommy at home who is taking care of her babies. And as you probably saw in my before photo, I needed some physical help too. And what I love about this community is the fact that we are all looking for something, whether it's physical health, mental health, financial health, or a vehicle to put wheels under a dream that needs to come true. And what I found is that I got exactly what I was looking for. But for all of us, this community gives us what we need. And I didn't realize that I needed the love and the support of my mentors. I didn't realize that I needed the encouragement to lose that extra weight. And I didn't realize that I could actually make progress with emotional eating. Those were things that were not on my radar. So this community gave me what I was looking for, but it gifted me what I needed. And it is such a beautiful thing.
I love that. What I have found is that OPTAVIA offers us a vehicle. If you have the work ethic and you put the work in, then you can create some results. Yes, Jessica?
Oh, 100%. I always tell my coaches and my clients, I say, you guys, legitimately in my heart, I know that the only way that you can fail is if you quit. Because this system has been set up not only to get you the physical and the mental results, but it's been set up to give you a scalable business that creates finances and impact. And the only way that you guys can fail is to quit. So don't quit.
There is a system, right, that definitely lends itself to creating predictable results. It goes back to our comprehensive training where you get to earn while you learn. Okay. We use a team coaching model so that you don't have to go out there and figure out how to put all the parts together. You get to link arms with somebody that has done it before and they show you the ropes, so to speak. And you get to grow to whatever level that you want at your pace, as quickly or as slowly as you like. There's, as I mentioned earlier, there's a tremendous amount of support on the local level, regional, national, and with the availability of Zoom, we have training opportunities at whatever time works best for you. And so you joined us today, maybe with that spark of a thought of how it is that you want your life to look different in the next year, in the new year, or in the new month, or in the new week, or tomorrow. And that spark of a thought can translate into results, given the right structure, the right support, the right system. And we invite you to join our mission to make an impact on the world and to create lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. We invite you to connect with the person that shared this video with you or that invited you tonight to learn a little bit more about how it is that we can help you build that life that you see behind your mind's eye. We hope you had a meeting with us tonight. Have a good night.
At OPTAVIA, our mission is to offer the world lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. The prior audio contained the personal testimonials of independent coaches and clients within the OPTAVIA community. Their results are based on the unique experiences of their journey. We cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. We hope those stories inspire you to continue your journey with or to consider joining OPTAVIA. But please note that they have not been verified and your individual journey to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you speak with a healthcare provider in the US or a doctor in Singapore and Hong Kong prior to beginning your journey with OPTAVIA. Additionally, this audio may have contained income or earning representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. We cannot guarantee financial success. Success with OPTAVIA is derived from successful sales efforts, which require hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. OPTAVIA acknowledges that this audio may be accessible to OPTAVIA coaches in the US, Hong Kong, and Singapore. For independent OPTAVIA coaches operating in the US, Please see the OPTAVIA Income Disclosure Statement for statistics on actual earnings of U.S. coaches under the U.S. Compensation Plan. Please note that the Income Disclosure Statement only applies to independent OPTAVIA coaches operating in the U.S. under the U.S. Compensation Plan and does not in any way constitute any representations as to actual or potential accrual of benefits for Hong Kong or Singapore coaches under the International Compensation Plan. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.